but it's all worth together. It's only matter, never what you got, but what you got in your heart. You can have everything. What to be, what to be. All the possessions. Good afternoon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Making Connections with Allie and Shay. Are you guys ready for the snow? I think we're going to get some. Maybe not from all our listeners because, we are everywhere around the country. But I just wanted to make sure, Shay, are you with us yet? Okay. We know Shay got off a little late today because they're preparing for the snow. So her assignment might have changed a little bit, but I believe she'll be on with us a little bit later. But again, thank you for tuning in with us. We are here every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time from 12 to 1. And today we have some guests with us. And we have, first of all, we all know Mother Khadijah. We love her. We've had her on the show several times. And today she is being joined by her husband, Mr. Tyzon McCullum. And he is the CEO and founder of Prison Street Talk Ministries. Hey, how are you guys doing?
How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm glad you're with us. So I'm just going to give you a chance just to kind of tell people, a little bit about your ministry, who you are, and then we'll get into some questions and really the topic about prison reform and the struggles behind the bar.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I am the founder of Prison Streets Talk Ministries. I came up with this idea. Actually, me and my wife came up with this creative idea because, she knew the things that I was going through when I was incarcerated. And so we said it's time to make a change and be able to provide the information to the community so they know the hardships that brothers and sisters go through behind the wall. And that was, to be able to be the voice of the people who doesn't have a voice. Basically, that's what that was, based around Prison Street Talk, getting the message out there, being real, being able to come on stations and events and be able to speak about the hardships and not only that what goes on inside, but what goes on outside as well. The hardships that brothers and sisters come back out into society and the obstacles that they face. It's a feeling of like almost still being incarcerated because of how how you be treated, because of your past. So,
Right.
that's just wanted to shed a little light on that, but that's what basically Prison Street Talks is about.
And I just wanted to add to, this is Mother Khadijah. I just wanted to add, our mission also is to be able to provide resources for families and those that are incarcerated. We know how the struggle it is, not just on those that are incarcerated, but the financial burden and the emotional trauma that goes to the families. So we want to be able to provide the resources, make sure that the children are eating, they have clothes. If they need help with financial bills, we put them in the right directions and provide them the legal aspect. I don't give legal advice because I'm not an attorney, but as a paralegal, I'm able to, research cases and find out ways if they've been over sentencing, making sure that they understand what their rights are as citizens of the United States. So that way they know that they do have rights. They have rights, specifically governed for prisons and jails. They have specific federal and state statutes to protect them. because not all institutions, do what they're supposed to do with the funding that they get. So we want to make sure that we're educating society on what they can do. And they might not know where to start, but at least give us a call so we can guide them in the right direction. And that's what we want to be the voice and the resources for those that are dealing with incarcerated families.
Exactly. And that's basically what even our radio show is about. It's called Making Connections for a reason, because we know even in our life, sometimes we just needed direction. We needed guidance. We needed somebody to give us some advice. We needed somebody just to, provide a meal or something. So we want to make those connections to people who need resources, don't know where to turn, maybe have been, pushed around a little bit, not pushed around literally, but, in trying to find answers. So I appreciate you guys coming on and be willing to, tell the truth of the matter. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. And so, and I was glad too Mother Khadijah was going to be on, because we did want that, okay, how do you feel when you know that your loved one is locked up and they're being mistreated, they're not being able to get their medicine? The family, it affects everyone involved. So, Ty, go ahead and tell us a little bit more about, what you want the community to know about, because we know the definition of prison reform is the attempt to improve conditions inside prison, establish a more effective penal system, or implement alternatives to incarceration. So what does that mean to you? What have you seen, or have you seen any changes for prison reform?
Well, not really. They when you talk about prison reform, let's go to how they're over sentencing brothers and sisters for nonviolent crimes. You have so many people that's sitting there with 20 and 30 years for nonviolent crimes. They are over sentencing people, and it's sad, because if you have a person who just catches, a minor gun charge or a minor drug offense, and you're enhancing them to basically add and tack on points to be able to enhance their sentence. So you have brothers and sisters that's continually being taxed on their sentence because of their past. If I had a charge, the federal will actually use that past charge that you already paid your debt to society for, and use that to add points to make your level go up. So now you're facing more time. I actually was over sentenced, and I won my appeal. They actually over sentenced me for a gun charge, which I was only supposed to be facing 15 to 21 months. They wound up giving me 37 months. And I appealed it. And I actually wound up getting back in court and giving back that year.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. It's really sad, because these laws that they putting in effect is basically to destroy a community, to destroy. They over sentencing our people, and that's something that the community need to know about these laws.
And so you're saying, so you're telling me that if you have, already, you had an offense before and you've already served that time or done whatever the judge told you to do, whether it's community hours or whatever, even though that case is done, if you come up for another case, that they can add that back onto your current case?
Yes, ma'am. They have a system, a fence system, and they put you on a category on a offense level. It can be anywhere from about 1 to 60 something, but whatever category they put you in and see, what's crazy about the feds is that they won't give you a sentence. They make you cop out first, and then the pre-sentencing parole board is the one who come up with how much time they want to give you. So you can cop out and plead guilty to the charge and not know how much time you go get, until they come back with your sentence from a pre-sentence report. Now, they use your old charges and they add on points, which is giving you enhancement. I started off with 3 points. They went back and, my record and the charges I did 13 years for, they added 3 more offense points on there, which gave me a total of 6 points. And yes, they're using your past to enhance you and give you time. And then if you have about two violent crimes, they can career you out and give you automatic 15 years.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, these laws is they crazy how they using these laws to keep us incarcerated.
Well, what are some alternatives? Because, at the end of that definition, of course, of prison reform is alternatives to incarceration. So what would some of the alternatives be? I mean, because we know that people do commit crimes, and, we know that there are various reasons why people commit crimes. We're not saying that everybody is innocent, but we're not saying that everybody, deserves life either. People make mistakes. People commit crimes due to just the I can't think of the word, not atmosphere, but just the situation they're in. You know what I'm saying? They have to steal something to eat or something like that. So what would be some of the alternatives to incarceration that you would think would be helpful?
Well, I just wanted to chime in, Allie, because funding seems to be an issue with managing their high inmate population. Just in the United States alone, in prison and jail, there was actually 2.2 million people in prison and jail, and that's just in the United States. And the Bureau of Justice Statistics, they, in the United States, incarcerated 471 people per every 100,000, including prisons under both the federal and state. And we know that funding, we got to figure out what are they doing with their funding. How are they not monitoring it to where they need more money? Because the spending on state and local corrections jumped from $17 billion to $71 billion since 1980. That's huge. That's $60 billion, not million, $1 billion. So they have to be able to find a way to manage that money they're spending, because obviously they have enough money to take care of both the state and federal incarcerated people. So where's the spending going? And I think the government needs to relook at how they're managing money to run out and not be able to provide the medical in the proper diets for those that are incarcerated. So I think that the look should be more so on how is money being spent. Where is the money actually going? Because if it's by law, they're supposed to take care of those that are incarcerated. They're in their care. It's their responsibility to make sure they're being taken care of. And I think that's a big number one issue with the reform. Everybody wants to point blame on this or find ways to implement education into it, but they're taking from people with their rights. And they have the finances to do it, but what are they really doing with the finances?
Wow, that's a good question. So, if say community wanted to take an initiative and seek out things like that, where would they look? Who would give them the answers for that kind of stuff? And how do we change where the money's going? Who do we contact?
Well, there's some projects going on now that's being implemented in 2019, and it's the reentry programs it seems to be the way to go, because within that reentry program there's different levels that are spoken upon. With the prison reform, the education system needs to be addressed, so that way it keeps those that do want. Not everybody want to change, but for the ones that do, to cut down on the repeat offenders, have that implemented. Making sure that the data is being correctly, collected, because data is a big key on finding out where the issues is so we can identify and address them immediately. So putting together the correct reentry program, not just try to find people jobs, but really try to find out not just what the issues are, but the best solutions to the issue. Because if someone's never done time, they're just going to give their opinion on what they feel it should be done. But if you have someone that, like us, to really say, no, we've like my husband, we've lived it, I've done it, been there, this is what needs to be done, to have an outsource. So there are government officials, the public safety with the government. That's when we're trying to work with to get the answers to the questions and the solutions to the problems. And that's just the start. So it takes more than just one entity to create solutions, but public safety is a good resource to address a lot of the different concerns that face both families and incarcerated individuals.
Okay. And, like I told you, for this interview, I'm probably not the best equipped, but, I definitely wanted to open the platform because I want to know what's happening. I have family members who are incarcerated, who have been incarcerated, and, I want to know, what's happening. And, there are people, like we said, who unjustly are being sentenced longer than they should. And, yes, there are, we have to pay for what we do, but at the same time, like you're saying, even there we are responsible for taking care of. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that everybody is okay. They need medical attention, that they get it and they get it promptly, that they are fed food that will nourish their bodies and not, destroy their bodies, So.
And it does go back to the government, because we got so many people that's locked up. But when you ask them, well, how many people are locked up in the facility just on a drug offense? They cannot give us a specific answer because they can't give a complete answer. They don't officially know, but they give an estimate. Look, there's 237,000 people just in state prison alone. Then in the federal prison, you got 95,000. And then we're not even talking about the youth. You got 5,000 kids in juvenile detention facilities. And remember, has nothing to do with the military prisons, the territorial prisons, and the local jails. So imagine not having the correct data to even address the issues because you don't even know how, you're not giving us this. Mm-hmm. So got to find a way to track, kind of like how they do with the Census Bureau. They should be able to do that with prisons because the people are confined there. Shouldn't be that difficult to do head counts. So,
right.
So we can start there because data is the most important resources to get to the solutions. And we could voice our opinion all day long, but we have to have statistics to go on so that we know how much of a concern it really is. We know it's an epidemic, but really it's worse than what it appears because the data's not correct.
Gotcha. So, Ty, tell us, go ahead.
And another thing I just wanted to throw out there is that, see, it's a business. It's not designed because they care. It's a business to them. So we are considered dollar signs. You're a check, So just look at, for instance, Michael Jordan put billions into building prisons. Billions. He has major stock in prison system, because it's a financial gain, The prison is always, unfortunately, always going to be people in prison, things like that. So to them, this is why they over sentencing, because the more you sit there, the more money they accumulate off of you. So this is when we look and say, all right, people being over sentenced. All right, but why are they being over sentenced? Because you're money, you're the funds. So therefore, they sit these people in these prison systems because they want more money. They just had something not too long ago where the county was complaining and saying we don't have enough inmates in here. We need more inmates because we need more money. And that's sad. Well, you shouldn't want people to be coming to prison. You shouldn't want people to fill up your jails. But they do because, like I said, it's business. It's a check.
Wow. And
I just wanted to mention another thing that needs to be addressed, and that's interstate commerce. And that was actually brought up by someone that we're helping right now, and he brought this to my attention. He says in order to pretty much to change the federal court, we have to affect interstate commerce. So the government, we believe, is misrepresenting what the Congress said by affecting interstate commerce. And what I mean by that is, let's say a gun that was used in a crime that had, or the drugs that was sold, was manufactured in another country. And it may have been manufactured from another country, simply came from another country. But that doesn't mean that you charge them for the effect of the interstate commerce, because they use the gun bought from China. So you're going to tax them with the interstate commerce. And I'll be very clear with an example. If a child still has a candy bar, for example, and they stole it from a store, and it was a Snicker bar, and the Snicker bar was made in China, can they really charge that child with the federal crime because the Snicker bar was made from China? So
Gotcha.
laws are being misinterpreted and turned it around to use it to people's advantage, not for what it was written for. So the Constitution is and the laws are being misconstrued and twisted to benefit them financially. So interstate commerce, we never really think about it, right? But that's huge. It's huge in law changing and changing that concept. Laws need to be very, very clear. All these big words and stuff, just be look, if you do this, you do this. Like the Ten Commandments. Do not commit murder. It's very clear, the Ten Commandments. That's how the law should be written, to where people understand what, the consequences of their actions, and it doesn't, go against them when they go to try to go to a federal or state or federal courts. They know, okay, this is what the law says. It doesn't say this, doesn't mean this. This is exactly what it means.
Gotcha. So tell us, some of the things that some of the inmates are dealing with behind prison that we are not aware of.
The biggest one is lack of medical care. Like, when I was in there, man, and only way I got things done through medical was because of my wife calling up there, quoting the laws and the statutes that they supposed to go by when it come to providing us with the necessary medical things. And, you have brothers and sisters that's dying in there because they don't want to give you an MRI, or they don't want to find out the real problems that's bothering you. They'd rather give you some Motrins and send you on your way. They don't want to tackle these things. You got brothers and sisters that's sitting in there waiting for an MRI 5 years. It took me, because of my wife was being the voice, it took me only 3 months to get an MRI. And you had other brothers like, bro, how you get an MRI so fast? I said, because I have, my wife calling up and pressuring these people to be able to provide the right medical attention, and these people in there 5 years, 3 years, still waiting on the MRI. And then, not only that, medical look at you because, I say if you got like 20 years and things like that, they look at, he could wait, he ain't going nowhere. This is how they think. This is how medical. There's so many lawsuits been written on them. One of the brothers that is from New Jersey that I was in there with had to get his toes amputated because when he went there, they wasn't providing him with the right medical attention to be able to cut it. He be able to catch it. He caught a staph infection on his toe, and they didn't treat it right. So he wound up losing one toe, and then it turned to 3 more toes. And now they sent him home without even properly taking care of that man. He might have to go home and get his leg amputated off because the infection got so bad. The man's ankle looked like a grapefruit. It's all black. And, this is the things people going in. There's another brother who was complaining of stomach pains. He kept going to the doctor, Next thing you know, this man dead. His stomach blew up on him. So, yeah, it's serious. It's very serious. Brothers and sisters dying in there. The food is, they feed you poor. Like, they feed you a food. The food portion, Like, they shake the spoon on you. When I say shake the spoon, they give you half of the portion you want because they don't want to run out of food, because they don't want to get in trouble. Instead of them cooking more food, they want to shake the spoon and not give you a full portion. So your 4-ounce scoop might turn to two ounces, you know. And they have what you call a portion control, which is you're supposed to get, for every ladle, you're supposed to get a full scoop of that ladle, which is you are required to have 4 ounces from each scoop of food that you receive. So, you know, like, it's terrible. It's sad.
And Allie, I don't know if I shared this with you, but my brother died in federal prison, and he had bone cancer, and they did not. I think they tried to just sabotage him because, you know, it's expensive. When you have a serious, expensive ailment, that costs more money. But he died in prison from bone cancer, and he wasn't getting any. Like, every time he called, sis, I'm in pain. I just need medicine. I need to be treated. A year go by, same thing. And then he ended up dying in prison from that. So medical, the way that they address medical definitely needs to be revamped. Another thing, getting back to the reform part, the sentencing reform, and it was brought to my attention by this gentleman that we're helping as well, that I think all mandatory minimums should be eliminated. You know, every case is different. You know, you can't compare each case to the same. But the mitigating factors, which is aggregating factors, should only help determine what the sentence should be. And the prosecution basically shouldn't be allowed to punish anyone from past crimes that they've already served time for. So that particular category should be eliminated in the federal sentencing table. And because if not, it's going to be considered double jeopardy.
Wow. Y'all really educate me today. And I mean, you know, you feel bad because you're like, gosh, you know, I mean, because, you know, I'll be honest, you know, like I said, I've had family members and, you know, I've had friends and, you know, I'll go visit sometimes, but I won't say that I have really kept up with how they were doing. You know, mine probably, you know, were out within a couple of years, but, you know, I didn't really keep up with how they were being treated, what they were being fed, and you know, if they were getting medical attention and things like that. And it's sad to say, but here we are. But, you know, I think, too, we got to get the information out there because a lot of times, you know, people might be willing to help, people might be willing to do stuff, but they don't think about it. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely have to get the information out there. And the fact that you're not being fed properly, again, where is all that money going? You know, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. And just to touch on something, to go back on something, like, because I went through it. Like, when I won my appeal, the judge told me, you better be lucky because the next time this law going to be changed. So basically what he's saying is, you know, the law was written in my favor. And see, when we come back on appeals and things are written in our favors, they hurry up, get back to the table, and change them. So now, you know what I mean? These laws are being designed to regardless of anything, trap you.
Mm-hmm.
And the feds have like a 99% conviction rate. Federal system. That's why people were scared to go to trial. One brother went to trial, right? He beat it in the federal, right? Then they tried to charge him in state. He beat it in state. Then the feds turned around and charged him again with the same gun, took him back to trial. He lost, and they gave him 10 years, mandatory. So, like, it's hard to beat the feds, and that's another thing, because they go, regardless of what, it's a 93% conviction rate. You know what I'm saying? And it's designed so, because they're not going to let you beat them. They're not going to let you beat them. They're not going to go spend that money on a trial and then turn around and let you go free. And it's sad, and that's just how it is, because, like I said, they design these laws to target a specific people, you know? If you look at everything, these laws, how from when they came from back then to now, how they turn them around, and they make it almost impossible to get a fair trial and things like that. There's no justice and equality when it comes to the justice system that they supposed to go by, because their liberty is blind.
And one thing is that a lot of people don't have the money to obtain attorneys and lawyers that will fight the case. I had a friend who was going through something, and the attorney fees are ridiculous. And it's the common person doesn't have that kind of money, especially to fight over a 6-month or a 2-3 year period. Even if you're fighting for justice, if you're fighting for the medical, if you're fighting for, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of outrageous.
Right, and that's why you have grassroots organizations like myself. We find resources. We find other organizations all over the world that are doing this. It's just we have to educate ourselves of where they're at. And if you don't know where they're at, it's a lot of work to find things, but Google should be your best friend, because all you have to do is put it in there. Hey, specifically what it is you're looking for. There's one particular ministry called Centurion Ministries, and they seek to free innocent people that's been in prison. They've been doing this for years. So if anyone's accused of something that you didn't do, and, there's a lot of people that are locked up that are innocent, but then there's a lot of people that's not. So you got to decipher, is it worth the time to do the research only to find out that they were really guilty of the crime that they did? But for those that are innocent, there are ways and organizations to help. So reaching out to us, we help point people into the right direction. And even with this company I just mentioned, Centurion, since 1983, they freed over 63 men and women who served a life or death sentences for crimes they didn't commit. And if you equate that, that's 1,200 years of life that could have been sent behind bars still, and that's only 63 people. So imagine all the other cases that people give up on because, like you say, it's money. When it comes down to money, you can't protect yourself. I don't have the money because you got to focus on your family, make sure you keep your bills current and things like that. We get it. You have to survive. But let these organizations that's out here, this is what they do. And Centurion is a nonprofit 501c3. This is what they do. They have the legal team to help you. It's just pointing people in the right direction could help bring their loved ones home.
Wow. So, Todd, tell us some of the things, too, that you've faced even since you've gotten out and trying to, that was one of the topics you want to talk about, being, introduced back into society and some of the difficulties there.
Yeah, well, the difficulties that we face is that, the part of having a background, and we don't get the fairness, or we're not considered equal citizens, and that's another thing. They tell us, oh, you get back, you're a part of society and all this, but in all reality, you are not being treated fairly out here in society, because with the job things, trying to get a job, people don't look at you, and the people don't want to hire you because you have a background. And then the jobs, they want to dig into what type of charges you've been convicted of, and that prevents you from getting equal opportunities with employment. Then the most important thing is that it's hard to find housing when you're a felon, because the government housing. So the government housing, these properties don't want a felon on their property. So where are we supposed to house these inmates? Where are these inmates going to go once they come home from serving their time? You don't want to let them in public housing. And, now, even with private realtors, they want to run a background check, and they might not want you in their property. So it's little things like that. Where's the programs to helping people find the proper housing?
And see, Allie, we was blessed to one of our business partners, Carolina's Hierarchy of Needs. This is what they do. They help with the housing part because they know it's a challenging issue for people that's coming out of the system, and they just not just focused on people incarcerated, but homeless people in general. But they understand it's how important it is to have that relationship with private realtors that are willing to understand. Look, we understand, especially when it gets cold outside, people need a place to stay. So partnering up with Carolina Hierarchy of Needs and just different private realtors is helping us get housing from people that's coming out, and working with other partners as far as employment, because we know how hard it is to pass background checks. And you think since you've done all this time that, okay, I've done my time, I'm ready to go back to society. And in essence, you're re-victimizing people that's coming back out because you're making it harder. It's like they start thinking, I did better locked up than I did when I'm out here. So let me just go back and just do the same thing that I'm doing, because guess what? They leave me no choice. Because when you corner someone and they starting to feel that way, and it's hard, and it's very overwhelming, especially when technology changes and everything's new. Imagine being locked up for 20 years, and you come out, and you don't realize that now gas stations take debit cards. So you have to learn little basic things that we take for granted. They don't even know exist. Except when they see commercials on TV when they're in their cell. But it's like we have to rehabilitate them back into society to let them know how the basic things work. So that way they feel like they're normal in society. Because when you're lost out here anyway, and then you're double lost because things have changed, what most likely they're going to repeat and go back in because it's too much for them. It's overwhelming. So it's a lot of things. Combination of things that we have to take in consideration to help, besides just the basics.
And Allie, I think if the brothers and sisters were provided with these resources, housing, good jobs, I think it will less likely offend again. Because you're given an opportunity to be able to do something, and it may cut down, the crime rate and the repeat offending and things like that if you actually gave people a chance, and that's just how I feel about the situation with that. I think that would give brothers and sisters a better chance, and they won't repeat or reoffend.
That's one thing Prison Streets Talk Ministries is doing. We actually, in Jazz Underground International, we have what would you say, like not a work experience, but for those that have to do community service, we provide that. We provide them to get their community services through our fundraising. Whatever your skills are, if you know how to cook, if you need help setting up a stage, if you need help just doing things so that they feel normal, we do community service. We offer that. And I think more companies need to do more, offer that particular service, so that way they can know what it's like to have that, to be around other cultures, have that social skills developed. Because it's one thing to go into a program that teaches you how to interview, but it's one thing to actually deal with it one-on-one, to be thrown into a particular situation. So just getting them used to society, doing community service, doing work experience. These are things that I think all companies, whether grassroots, for-profits, nonprofits, we all should take time to figure out how we can work as a community to tackle that. And I think that would be a good start. And then talk to these people. Find out what it is. What do you need? What do you personally need help with? Instead of just trying to put everybody in a category and do a group discussion, I think it should be individualized, so that way each person's case is different. A lot of people we're finding have mental issues. So working with Project 70 Forward, they deal with the disability side and mental health as well. And we're working with them so that we can tackle the ones that come out that have health issues. Look, here's an organization that show you who to call, where to go, help you with the paperwork. Because it's overwhelming. Let's say you don't know how to read and write. You're not going to want to do anything, because guess what? Where are they going to go? They're not going to know how to use the Internet. So you have these grassroots organizations that are doing the work like ourselves, that we're coming together to make sure people know, hey, we exist, we're here. Let your families know. Let your friends know. Here, come out to these events. Get some hygiene items. Come get some food. We can tell you. It's about sharing resources, and that's why I love your show, Making Connections, because I have seen you grow so much to help educate the society on where to go and find people. And when I say I've heard nothing but great things about this show, so that's why we wanted to come on the show to let people know this is the place to find resources. There should be no excuse why people can't say they don't know. All they have to do is listen to your show. We have people like ourselves and other people that's come on to help guide people. People just need guidance. They need that hope. People are losing hope. They're committing suicide because they feel like, okay, there's no one, my family doesn't care. I'm not going to tell my problems to strangers. And then come to find out it's the strangers most likely are the ones that's going to help.
Right.
So we just appreciate you letting us come on this program to just, explain. There's people out here that's willing to help, willing to share our resources and just guide them because we're all family at the end of the day.
At the end of the day. And, and I appreciate that because, honestly, I was like nervous. And if I was just walking in myself, I'd have been like, no, I'm not having that show because I don't know what they're talking about. I ain't never been to prison, blah, blah, blah. But, that's an injustice to my brothers and my sisters who need the help, who need the guidance, because I do believe that if people are offered opportunities, if people just know that somebody genuinely cares for them, that can change somebody's life. Some of these people, and I mean just people in general, when they've always been knocked down, never heard an encouraging word, never heard, hey, I believe in you, you can do it. Oh, you got this skill, let's put it in action. Then nobody will ever get ahead. But when we look past people's faults, because maybe I didn't go to prison, but that don't mean that I am a perfect person. That doesn't mean I haven't ever stole anything or done anything. I just didn't get caught at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and that's a lot of people, especially the government.
Yeah.
The government is good with that, but you know what? It also comes down to money too. See, these people in high position have money. They can get things swept under the rug. But the little guys is always the people that pay for it. So that's another thing too.
Because I say, like, with drugs and stuff like that, we don't own the planes that's bringing them drugs in, and we don't, we're not able to get through security, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's much higher up. But
absolutely. Check out when they was over there in the foreign countries selling guns to get the cocaine to bring it back. The military was bringing that back. It's documentaries on these type of things. Like you said, we can't get it over here. It's hard to get through customs, so you ain't bringing it over here. How it's getting here then? So, but we all know as black people it was designed to destroy, the black communities. And but it is what it is. It's the truth. So, but it's just, just asking God, man, for guidance and to be able to help us overcome, our adversaries, man. That's all I do. All we can do is put it in God's hand, man. Hope that things change for the better, because life is too short. And
life is short.
We definitely need change, sister.
And and I appreciate what you guys are doing because, you don't want to see this continue to happen. And, we have to break ground somewhere. And so you guys have done that for a lot of people because even the people that are the forefront and breaking ground, it gets frustrating for you guys. But you had to stay the course because you had to remember why you're doing this. Khadijah, you might have been, inspired by your husband and your brother and things that are going with, but you knew that there were other people. You could look into the faces of the families that are out here who, like you said, need food or need guidance, and it inspired you, and you didn't sit on that. You took action, and for that, truly, God is going to bless. I mean, he's already started, but there's more to come because there are people who genuinely want to do better. They just didn't have any options. But now we're giving them options, but we got to, like you said, let them know that options are out here We got to let those families know who are going through, who might be embarrassed, feel like, I don't want anybody to know this, or, I'm so sick of this. Let them know that, hey, you're not going through this by yourself. You're not the only one that's dealing with this. It's going to be okay.
Exactly, and I appreciate that, Allie. And that's why with this movement we have going, Saving Children, Save Our Lives movement, who tackles issues, it's really focused for the youth who's dealing with incarcerated family members, domestic violence, and neglect. We want to get all the children. We don't want to leave any child out, whether you have mental issues, whatever the case is. We have partnered up with different artists within the industry that are supporting this movement. So it's just not going to be a local North Carolina thing. This is where we're going across the nation. We're going to start with the nation first, and then just go and try to really reach the community. Because once we do our concert, we're going to the community. We're going to be able to feed. We're going to be able to educate. The same thing that we do here in Charlotte, this is what we're going to be doing no matter where the state is. We just want to go where the need is. And when we find out specifically which area we want to target first, because we have an idea, but we might want to change that a little bit because we got some more statistics on a particular topic in one state. But once we go, let's say Chicago, we want to hit all the impoverished areas that really, 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 really need some help, areas that are heavy gang affiliated, heavy with crime. It's just they're dealing with so much, and it's like, we got to let them know, y'all don't know us, but we're really here to help your kids. We're really here to help you make wiser choices. We're really here to make sure these children become entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Because the way things are going, they have to start investing into themselves. But most people do not know how to do that, especially when you don't have the money. But when you have mentors that they look up to, they see on TV every day, wow, they actually came to our community to not only try to put money in their pockets, they're actually giving us stuff. They're making sure we have socks and underwear and shoes and school supplies, haircuts. We really are taking it a step beyond, and we just want, because the epidemic is everywhere. So we're going everywhere to hopefully to help people to tell their story. Because when you share your story, you heal. And, as a domestic violence survivor, I was so embarrassed, I didn't want to see nobody for a minute. So it took me 2 years to get myself together. And when I came out of hiding, I realized by sharing my story made me grow into the woman that I am today. And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to share our story, let people know. We've had a lot of embarrassing things happen to us, but so have you. When you're ready, share your story, but we're here to help you heal, and that's what this whole movement is about. That's what Prison Street Talks Ministry is about, Saving Children, Saving Lives movement, Jazz Underground International. We want people to know we're coming to your city, but we're coming to educate you. We're coming to bring resources. We're coming to give you that hope that we're on a ministry. This is a ministry we're doing. God sent us, and that's what people need to know. God can move mountains and change things.
Now, baby, you ain't said nothing but a word with that. That is the truth.
Yes, ma'am. And Al, you know what's so sad is that we need to do more to reach our youth, because just alone in Philadelphia, within 2 months time span, there were over 153 killings between the teenagers of 13 to 15 years old. That's just with that age bracket. So our babies is walking around shooting each other. And they're babies, 13 to 15, 153 deaths. So 13-year-olds is shooting 15-year-olds, and 15-year-olds is shooting 13-year-olds. This is sad. We have to reach our youth, because they are the future. They're the future, and we need our children. We need our children to grow up and be something in life. So we have to get down in the trenches and really, really, really help these kids, man. Touch these kids, and educate them. Keep them from running in the streets. Keep them from being a part of violence, being bullies, and things like that. It starts with the kids, man, and we have to provide the information to the parents to be able to, reach out for help, ask for help. to try to control these kids. Fathers, start being fathers. Be a parent to your child. Get a hold of your child before you lose them to the streets. And this is the information we need to get out there as well for saving children, saving lives.
And I do want to I want to go back to one thing, and then I'm going to have you come back and give, while I'm saying what I have to say, I want you to be thinking about, because that's one of the things I wanted to kind of press home. We got to get them before they go in. You know what I'm saying? We got to encourage them to live a better life, make wiser choices. And sometimes it's hard, but you can do it. So I want you to be able to give these young girls, young boys some advice on why they don't want to get behind the wall, because once you're behind the wall, it's hard to escape. Once you're behind the wall, you don't have options and choices that you have out here. And, out here it might seem they're limited, but you don't know limits until you're behind the wall. But I do want to get back to another thing Mother Khadijah was talking about, and I think you addressed it as well, is a lot of times, too, people are dealing with mental health issues. So they do things irrationally. They do things that they're, not truly cognitive of. And we have to be able to address their mental capacity. Even once they become behind the walls, all these things have to change where everybody is getting the attention that they need. Like Mother Khadijah said, just putting everybody in a box, oh, you're a prisoner, you're a number. I don't care, what your dietary needs are, what your health needs are, what your mental needs are. That doesn't work. So we have to be able to, address people where they are. And, we have to we're trying to break that stigma of mental health. Okay, you might be dealing with, that doesn't mean they're crazy people. That means they can be fixed. They can get medication. They can get counseling. They can get alternative ways of dealing with anger and things like that that'll help them. So I just think that most of all, throughout everything that you said, we've got to break that stigmatism. We've got to break that, they're convicts, they deserve it, their mental is. We got to stop that. Everybody is a person. This is somebody's brother, somebody's father, somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody's mother. And, when we take that level of compassion out of it and not treat them as people, we've done a great disservice to our own selves and to our communities.
Exactly. And you're right. You hit it on the head. We have to reach them before they go in or go back in. And we've got so many projects that 2019 it's really, we're recruiting now, but we've got the Youth Summit where we actually tackle specific issues, and the issues that we tackle are the issues that the children bring to our attention. The first one we did last April, it actually dealt with bullying. So bullying still seems to be an issue, so we'll probably keep that on the platform, but we're bringing the youth together every month starting in January or every other month so that the children can be the platform. They're the voice in their own peers, and but not just be the voice. Find solutions. Start your own community watch. Make sure you do that in school. Identify what bullying is. And they even with the Youth Summit, they're given homework assignments. So we're putting people together. Like my last summit, I had a bully, and then I had someone that was being bullied. So I paired them up so they learn from each other what not to do, what to do, without telling them what they shouldn't be doing. And they seem to learn that way. And then we have a health and wellness expo coming February 2nd. So for those that really want to learn more about the mental health, how to eat right, how to take care of yourself. So every month starting 2019, we're going to be doing different events to cover the issues that the society are facing, but make it more personalized. Let these children know there are events that we're signing you up for free that are going to be sponsored to take you out of your environment, take you fishing, things that we did when we were, that didn't cost much. Put the kids together, take them skating, have them eat some pizza, be around positive energy, take them to church, do something positive with these children, because most of them are not getting that at home. They're not getting that quality attention from their parents. And all they need is a big sister, big brother to say, look, we care about you. hey, come with us. We're doing this. You don't look. If you don't have no clothes, we make sure you have some clean clothes when you get there. We make sure when you go home, you got some deodorant and some soap and some things that you need. When you tackle the things they need, it creates that, when you feel good and smell good, it just does something for you. It just makes you, it just puts some step in your, in your walk.
Right.
And that's what we want to get that confidence back. And a lot of these youth have lost confidence in themselves. They have no direction. So by doing all of these events that really don't cost a lot, it's just organizing, transportation is our issue, which we're going to be working on that too. It's just making sure that we can tackle them so that way they know, well, dang, if I get locked up, I won't be able to go to that summer camp that was already paid for. Give them something to look forward to.
Okay. Awesome. And I don't mean to cut you off because this is really good stuff. But I'm just going to go ahead and say my thank yous to everybody for listening today. And Ty, I'm going to let you have the last say. And make sure you tell everybody how they can reach out to you, give that word of advice, and then that's going to be all for making connections with Allie and Shay.
Well, it's been a blessing being on the show and be able to provide, the information that's necessary. And the people can reach me at jazzundergroundinternational.com. And, whoever's listening, please reach out if y'all have any questions or concerns. And whoever want to be interviewed and tell a story, Power Block Radio. I just thank you, Ali, for being able to, come be a part of the show. It's been a blessing.
You're welcome. And make sure they know it's Jazz Underground, UNDAGROUND, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So, Ty, is that your last words, or you got a piece of advice for us?
Well, I want to personally thank you myself, Allie, because you really are a wonderful. You're a woman of God, and I admire you so much. And just allow us to have another platform in social media to get the word out, and making connections with the Allie and Shay Show really are changing lives too. And whatever we can do to help grow your brand, you just consider it done because you're family. And we just want to be able to bring the resources to the community and work together to collaborate on projects and get the word out. So we just wanted to personally thank you for doing such a great job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you both, and we will be in touch. Unfortunately, we have to leave for today, but I have been so inspired, and we're going to have you back on the show with some updates and, to promote your 2019 calendar. But thank you, everybody, for listening. Yeah, absolutely. Thank everybody for listening with Making Connections. We're here every Saturday, 12 noon. We will see you next week. Join our Facebook group so you can stay abreast of the things that are coming up and the resources that you need to be able to walk in your purpose. But in our world, it's treasure, true world. There's only measure, never what you got, but what you got in your heart. You can have